Hey everybody, I'm Miss Mark. I'm trying a new Fran Nerd style video setup. I stole this from Fran and I'm using it because it's a good way to see myself in the viewfinder back here, because you can't do it on a cheap camera like this. So I'm using the mirror to show my face while also letting me see the viewfinder. So we'll see if this format works long term. It's not super hard to set up. Alright, so I'm going to try speaking a little louder because I know the microphone on the camera probably isn't so great. Before I get into the topic today, I want to give you guys a quick update on kind of what I've been doing in life, because I've been doing a lot. I decided I want to do a big portfolio update for my website, kind of for client work, stuff that I am willing to do for money. And the two things that I didn't have a lot of in my portfolio that I would really like to do more often are people portraits and pet portraits. So I did a lot of those this past week. I think like 5 faces and 2 or 3 pets. That's on top of commissions and all that kind of stuff. So I've been doing a lot of that, and hopefully by the time this video goes up, those will also be on my website so you can take a look. I also kind of want to add buildings and house paintings to my portfolio, but that I'm still really new to as far as like actually architectural drawings are concerned. So I don't know when that'll make it onto the website. I finished inking and editing all of chapter 1 of my comic. That's 49 pages including the cover. It's pretty insane. But I finished that, and the last week was spent at the library actually editing them and scanning them, because my scanner's too small, so each comic page has to be scanned, the top half then the bottom half, so I have to scan each page twice, so like 100 scans basically. And then I put them all together in Photoshop, clean them up, and then I put the lettering on in Illustrator. So I'll put a link to my comic down below if you're interested. I added some of the portraits that I've done to my Store Envy store if you're interested in purchasing them. I filmed some stuff. I had an ant invasion in my house and had to eradicate them. So it's been a kind of a crazy June. So that's what I've been doing. If you're interested, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm really super active there. And then you can also follow me on my blog on my website at missmark.com. So that's it for my life updates. It feels extra busy to me. So getting on to the main topic of this video today, I wanted to share 3 really big things that I learned from drawing 49 pages of comics. Or I should say, yeah, 49 comic pages. I learned a lot more than 3 things, but 3 things that I think I'm going to carry on into other art projects and future comic projects and kind of my overall life. That's what these 3 things are about. Obviously, I learned a lot about drawing, and I learned a lot about ink and paper, what to do and what not to do with paper. Stuff like that I learned, but what I mainly want to share are kind of 3 like life lessons that I learned. So I'm going to just mainly read them. They're my super duper notebook here from the Marie May company. You can find them at mariemay.com. I'll put a link to them in the bottom. But anyway, I'm just going to I'm looking down because I'm reading my notes here. So 3 things I learned from drawing 49 comic pages, including the cover. Number 1, your passion is not always passionate, or your passion project is not always passionate. My comic is something that I have loved. The story is something that I've loved and has been near and dear to my heart since my 8th grade year. I wrote it as very much an outpouring of emotion and things I was frustrated with and things I wanted to happen in life. You know, it was just very raw teenage angst. And so for a while I thought I kind of outgrew that. I don't really need that story. And then kind of as I got older, I thought, well, there's something so insightful about raw emotion on a page. What can I make out of this? So that being said, as important as that is to me, and as strongly as I feel about the story and the characters, I definitely did not always feel passionate. So many of the pages, maybe not quite half, but almost half, you know, I would be inking late at night and there was no passion. It definitely felt like a chore a lot of the time, especially parts of the production that I don't like as much. Like drafting, the initial drafting the pages, I don't like figuring out where word balloons and characters are gonna go. I don't like the thumbnail stage. I like cleaning up the pencils and making the page look nice, and I really do love inking 90% of the time. I hate scanning so much. I hate photoshopping the pages to clean them up. It doesn't really take me that long. I can edit a page now in like under 5 minutes, but I hate it. It's so boring. And I really hate lettering pretty strongly. The story is important enough to me that I keep doing it anyway, but what I learned was, as passionate as I am about the story, I'm not going to be passionate about all parts at all times. Oh, another thing that will kind of dampen your passion is you'll doubt it. You'll doubt the value, and as soon as that doubt sneaks in there where part of your brain is saying, you know, this isn't worth your time, no one's gonna like it, you know, the last page didn't get any attention, so why bother doing the next page? You have to do it anyway. I think it's really important to do it even when you don't feel thrilled. The next lesson that I learned, that I'm still learning, it still hasn't 100% sunk in, but I do know it. I can consciously recall up the lesson, even if it's not ingrained yet. Number 2, you will always have better pages. Something that really slowed down the production of this comic was constantly learning about making comics and then starting over with all the stuff I had learned, because, you know, I didn't like the old pages. I would learn so much about my tools, about my craft, about storytelling, and I would say, no, I did it all wrong. Now we're going to redo it. So I would start over. The last time when I started, I told myself, no starting over. Unless you realize you've actually messed up the story, you know? Like, I drew the characters in the wrong building, or in the wrong setting, or wearing the wrong costumes, or whatever. Unless you've messed up the story, no starting over. Period. And that was hard, because my latest pages are so much better than my first ones. My figure drawing I draw faces better than I did on page 1. A lot better. So it's hard for me to just say, that's okay, let's just keep on going. But, you know, so what if you're 10 times better? That's hard for me to say. And it's really hard for me to live out. To just say, well, page 38 is really the best I can do. Page 1 really isn't that good anymore for me. That's okay, forget it. That's so hard for me. But what I kind of realized after doing 48 pages, 49, the cover, is it's always going to be better. I'm never, hopefully, never gonna peak and to the point where I can't get any better. That's gonna be really sad when that happens. That's not a good thing. You don't want that. So anyway, yeah, there's always gonna be better pages, so there's no point now in constantly starting over. Once I have a big body of work, like several chapters in, or I finish the story, then it might be worth going back and saying, here are some pages that are really below par based on the overall project. I'll redo those. But right now, if I keep fixing pages every time I learn something, I will never finish the comic. So lesson 2, you will always have better pages. Each project and each step of each project is going to be more certain and more confident in the last, but that's not a good enough reason to start over. So don't. Number 3, learn to land. Kind of another way to put this is finished, not perfect. Jake Parker has a video about. But I kind of want to learn to land is how I think about finished, not perfect. So the way I think about this is sort of like gymnastics. If you've ever watched gymnastics, especially like the Olympics, like Simone Biles, landing your routine is just as important as everything else. It's actually rated. You know, a bad landing, you lose points. And the reason I think of that as an example is you can't not land when you do gymnastics. You can't just go through your whole routine and then right before you hit the ground say, that wasn't good, I'll start over. You have to land. And more importantly, you have to learn how to do it, and you're gonna have bad landings, but the only way you're gonna land perfectly is if you do it lots and lots of times. Specifically, the idea that you have to learn how to finish things before you can learn to finish them well is something that I struggled with. Reasons I would quit are I would lose confidence or I would lose interest. Something bigger and better would come along. I didn't want to be drawing fantasy. I want to draw science fiction. I don't want to draw science fiction. I want to draw Civil War. So it's really easy to be distracted. You just want a break, and it just seems appealing to go do something different. Anyway, but the point is, along with my whole don't start over mantra, this whole learn to land thing was about I would rather have several badly finished stories that eventually teach me how to make a good story than one story that might someday be perfect. It won't ever be. But yeah, think of it a lot like gymnastics. You have to learn to land in gymnastics. You have no choice. Your routine has to end with your feet on the ground, preferably firmly. You don't want to land on your face. So, and if you quit midway through your routine, that's pretty much what's going to happen. So that's my metaphor. So learn to land. So the three things again are your passion project is not always very passionate. 2, you will always have better pages. Don't start over. And 3, learn how to land. The only way you can learn is by messing up your landing several times. So those are the 3 things I learned from drawing 49 pages of comics. There are a lot of other things I can mention, like maybe watch where you put your hand when the ink is still wet. Don't erase your pencils until the ink is dry. Make sure you scan all the pages before you go to the library. Make yourself a script. I'm getting ready to start chapter 2, but I remember these things. So if you want to stay updated on my comic progress, Instagram's the best place to find me. I will occasionally post to Facebook and occasionally post to my website, but Instagram's probably your best bet at this point. If you guys would like to ask me any questions about making a comic, you can comment below. Probably already knew that. Also, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I appreciate it. And maybe subscribe. Check out my other videos. There's a few of them. And let me know what else you would like me to talk about in the future. Also, let me know about this new format. It's new.